Welcome to Project 3550. This is episode number 18. So it's hard to believe that I'm almost 6 months into this prep, 23 weeks to be exact. And I'm pretty pleased with the overall progress of this prep, of how everything has gone, my approach. Visually what I'm seeing, I'm really happy with where I'm at right now. And the numbers, I'm down 16 pounds over the 23 weeks. So I'm averaging about 0.7 pounds loss per week. And the current percentage is about 0.4% of my body weight per week. So it's just a touch under the general recommendations of that 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. So definitely on the conservative side and definitely purposely. And the reasons why I prefer to take things a little on the slower side. If you guys have followed me up to this point, then you guys know just how important, let's say, family is, how important my wife is, and the social aspects of life. So I really want to make sure that I'm thinking of those things when I'm prepping. I want to make sure that a good husband, good dad, I'm making time out for them, and I'm not, let's say, obsessing or prioritizing my prep over life itself. Of course, the deeper we get into this prep, I'm probably going to have to buckle down, at times and, kind of put the social stuff on the back burner. But the first 6 months, really enjoyed the pace that I'm on. I've been able to do, some special things, date nights, plenty of refeeds. I've been able to enjoy the holidays, et cetera, et cetera. So I really have enjoyed, the first 23 weeks, and I've gotten, some decent progress out of it. So heading into January 2021, we're going to be looking at more of the same, and, I might pick some spots here and there to push a little bit harder. But again, overall, I'm really enjoying the conservative pace because I've learned how to balance prep and life. And for me, kind of my adopted lifestyle over the last few preps of, just making sure that the overall balance is an equal part of my process. And what I mean by that is making sure that we're, on point with macros, making sure that we're training, with intent, making sure, we're getting the activity level in, practicing the posing, like all those things you need to do to, make prep, as optimal as possible. So I add another layer to that. It's like, how can I do those things while, prioritizing my family and not letting them kind of become second fiddle. So that's been, kind of a focus and priority over, the last 3 or 4 preps or so. So when I go back to history and I look at prep, back in 2009, where I didn't really put that life balance into focus, it was more about, hey, I need to, get in the most shredded condition possible at all costs. And I wasn't as educated, as I am now, obviously. We're talking 11 years ago, just before I met the other coaches. So I really wasn't paying too much attention to the research and the science. And just kind of going by, my own personal experience at that point. So the 28-week prep where I lost about 42 pounds. So I was losing about 1.5 pounds per week on average. And I recall many of those weeks where, I was losing maybe 2 pounds per week. So the pace was definitely a lot more aggressive. And I would say, on some of those weeks, more than the 1% loss per week. And I really wasn't taking any scheduled refeeds. It was more like, okay, every maybe 2, 3, 4 months, I would have a binge because the overall demand of the prep was just so escalated. Hunger levels were very escalated. Plus, I was training with a lot of intensity, so I wasn't really paying too much attention to kind of, balance out supply and demand a little bit more. And I sure as heck wasn't too concerned about, having date nights, with my ex-wife or any of that stuff. It was just like, hey, go, go, go. I need to get in the best shape of my life. And it was more about being a little more hardcore than anything. So the pace, the aggressiveness of the prep was just a little too invasive. And it's the reason why, I got on stage at 160 pounds, still in good shape. Like I was still shredded, in good condition. But when you compare it to, let's say, my 2011 prep, my 2014 prep, my 2019 prep, where I was 170 pounds, just as lean, if not leaner, so 10 pounds heavier. It's just a huge striking difference as far as the quality of physique, the amount of muscle I was able to retain, in my latter years than when I was in, let's say, my 20s and 30s, and again, back in 2009, and competing at 160 when I should have been, in reality, competing at 170. So if you think about, the quality of the prep, obviously, with that go approach, the aggressive approach, and let's just say a little more insecure as far as my mental. And what I mean by that is, hey, I don't want to lose out on progress. I don't want to, there's that fear of not coming in at my best. So I need to push harder. And hey, if I take, I could only imagine like someone had said, hey, Jeff, let's have some refeeds back in 2009. I'm like, no way, you're going to slow my pace down. I'm going to, miss out on progress, or I'm going to regress. Same thing with the training mindset. It was like, hey, if I back off, take extra rest days, like going light on some sessions. Like there was no way I was going to have it with my mindset back in 2009. And the quality of life as well. Like, again, kind of being more like a hermit mentality. Like I missed out on a lot of quality of life. And here I am in 2020, now 6 months into it. I could have gotten more progress, but at what cost? If I would have been more aggressive, leaned more towards, let's say, 1% of my body weight per week, that probably meant I would have to, back off on, let's say, some of those date nights that I've enjoyed over the last 6 months. Maybe it's like, hey, I need to be a little bit tighter around the holidays. So again, missing out on maybe that social aspect there. So again, I've learned, through my own history, what kind of works well for me. And, my goal in 2021, I have a few goals actually. Like, one of my goals is to, improve the previous preps as far as being a better dad, being a better husband. That's like priority number one. Then from there, it's like, hey, let me improve my conditioning. If I can get a little bit leaner than I was in 2019 and hold on to maybe even a little more muscle, then maybe, I'm going to have a superior physique. And then if that happens, then that's going to have a better chance of, doing better at shows. In particular, WNBF Worlds. If I can, let's say, compete in 2021 and break top 5, in the middleweight class, that would be, just a cherry on top of a sundae. I got to say the last goal, 2 goals, I should say, two more. Let's do 2 more. So one of them is to be the best 50-year-old natural bodybuilder on the planet. I know that's a lofty goal, but, having a lofty goal like that, whether I actually attain it or not, just having that goal, it's a nice motivator. So it's keeping me going. It's helping that engine go. And the other goal is to just keep doing what I'm doing now, and that is to educate you guys through my journey. And, if it's just one person that I'm able to help, then to me, it's well worth doing these videos, and it's well worth, basically sharing the experience of the prep. And again, the last 6 months, I've just been super, super happy with the overall approach. And, my training is going exceptionally well. So the plan of basically modifying some of my exercises, like going away from traditional pressing, now doing kind of a press fly for chest. I was doing a neutral grip press for a while there, but it was starting to bug my elbows, a little bit more so. So I've had to kind of go away from that. So the press fly has been a nice modification. So I'm able to train chest pretty effectively. I got good range of motion on that movement, good stretch, and they're feeling great, no pain. So I've been really happy with that. I've been able to, do a little bit of, behind the neck press with the Smith machine, to target both the anterior and medial heads of my delts. And I just basically flare my elbows out a little bit more on that movement to get the medial head involved a little bit more. I'm not a big fan of lateral raises. Can't really get good mind muscle connection on it. Never have. So the overhead press, the way I modify it, I get really good mind-muscle connection, and I enjoy that movement a lot. So, if I'm smart about it and I'm safe about it, and, again, if I don't, let's say, let the ego get in the way, and I keep my loads, basically sensible with the rep ranges, like if I stick with 12 to 20 rep range on that, it feels really, really good. And if you think about it, anterior delt, medial delt, they're not the biggest muscle groups on your body. So, to, let's say, drop those rep ranges down into, let's say, 3 to 6, maybe even, let's say, 3 to 8, like, think of the burden that's going to put on your connective tissue. So I think, for me anyways, personally, that 12 to 20 rep range is just a sweet spot where I still can get effective reps in there, maintain really good form, and again, just kind of keep the burden off my connective tissue because of the lighter loads and the higher rep ranges. So that movement's been going exceptionally well. And a couple other modifications that I've done, I've gone to a one-arm row, and with that one-arm row, it's for me anyways, it's putting a little less burden on my elbow. The seated machine row that I was using was putting a lot of burden on my elbow, and I was getting really strong on that, so that really wasn't helping my cause. So going away from that movement, going to the one-arm row, it's just been much friendlier on my elbow joints. And I've even added a little bit more of a modification on that movement because I only have 100-pound dumbbells. That's the heaviest dumbbell I have. So I was getting too strong for those. Rep ranges were getting, 15, and I know I was going to be able to do even more. And my cardio, like, I was just gassing out by the time, I get, up to 15. So I was like, okay, how can I make this exercise maybe a little bit harder where I can get those effective reps in there, not have it feel like cardio? So I decided to go with paused reps, like a slight pause at the bottom. So basically what I do is just let that dumbbell hit the ground, in control though, like the eccentric is controlled. I let the dumbbell hit the ground. I pause for a slight second to kill the momentum. So when I go to do the concentric, it's basically from a dead stop. So there's a lot of tension there. So there's no stretch reflex from the momentum. So I'm actually creating a decent amount of tension by having those paused reps in there. And that's worked out well. So my rep range actually kind of went down a little bit because of that. So it's a little bit more practical. So that's been going well, with those rows. Another modification I've made on leg press. I've been doing pause reps on leg press for 5 weeks now. And the loading with traditional reps was just getting a little too burdensome. Like I was, using like 660, upwards of 700 pounds with the traditional, rep cadence. And it was just putting a little too much burden on my ankles, on my hips, not so much my knees. Like my knees were holding up okay. And the reason I wear those straps is to give me a little bit more support on the knees. Also, mentally, I feel more stable and secure you're using wraps. I know some people go like, hey, you're using wraps, so you're going to limit your hypertrophy because the wraps might be helping in assisting moving the load. So I'm not really concerned about that because when you use wraps, the way I look at it is, okay, using wraps is its own baseline. And the intent, whether you're using wraps, no wraps, is you're trying to increase the loads, you're trying to increase the reps, or maybe adding sets to further the overall demand to get that stimulus. So using wraps is just, in a sense, like its own baseline. And also too, by adding pause reps in there, I'm eliminating the stretch reflex because I'm killing the momentum. So basically what I've been doing is controlling the eccentric, going a little bit slower on purpose to get some tension there, but not going so slow to where it's going to limit, let's say, my ability to do the concentric part of the reps, and in a sense shortchanging a lot of overall reps. So just enough eccentric where it's under total control, and then basically I pause at the bottom, again, not like a long pause, maybe a count of 1, maybe a touch slower or faster than that, let's say. And then the concentric, because there's no stretch reflex, there's a lot of tension there. So with those pause reps, I've been able to knock off roughly 100 pounds off of that lift and still get the same effect, or maybe even more of an effect, because of those paused reps. So that's been a nice change. And my ankles, my hips have really enjoyed not having to lift, 660, let's say 700 pounds. So that's been a nice modification there. So there's just these small modifications that have gotten me, let's say 95% healed up, and I'm feeling really, really good. And that's priority when it comes to contest prep, is the training, making sure you're performing well, making sure you're recovering well, you're just feeling like Superman in a sense, because that's going to basically help to retain that muscle mass through the dieting process. So if you combine, the slow pace as far as fat loss, like that 0.4% that I've been getting on a weekly basis, along with really good training, then I'm in a very good environment to maximize muscle retention. So that's kind of the goal. The end product is when we get on stage to be shredded, but yet have that muscle there, have that muscle fullness. Like, I don't want to just get shredded for the sake of getting shredded and I look flat, I look like a stick. Like, I want to look like a bodybuilder on stage. So my training is going really, really well. And big picture, the way I'm kind of pacing the supply and demand, with this prep right now, I'm running 5 low-calorie days, Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday are refeed days. And, Monday, Tuesday, it's lower body than upper body. Wednesday, I take a day off. Thursday's back to lower day. Friday's upper day. So I'm hitting each body part, twice per week. So again, going to the guidelines as far as the research and all that. Hey, let's hit body parts 2 to 3 times per week. So I'm hitting them twice per week. So I'm covering my bases there. And with the refeeds on Saturday, Sunday, those are non-training days. So I'm not as active. I'm getting that recovery. Plus, I'm eating more food with those refeeds, obviously. So I'm basically increasing my overall supply there. So when Monday rolls around again, coming off of 2 refeed days, 2 rest days, and the reason I put lower day on Monday is because those are, obviously harder workouts, the lower body. So I have plenty of energy there to get after it. And my Monday, Tuesday workouts are a little bit more intense. Like, I push myself maybe a little bit harder there than I do on, let's say, Thursday or Friday, where, I'm on my 4th and 5th low day of the week. So I have a good approach and system right now. Again, train hard Monday, Tuesday, coming off the refeeds. Wednesday's a rest day, recover from those 2 training days. Thursday, Friday, back off on the training just a hair, not a lot, but just enough to where it's not overly invasive. And then the weekend, I get those rest days, I get replenished, and I get to start the new week off fresh. So nice little system that I have going right now. Moving ahead, so the fat loss has been it's been creeping. I may have to be a little bit more assertive. I'm gonna wait through Christmas holidays, maybe when I get into early January. That's where I'll probably go ahead and pick the pace up maybe a little bit more. And the only adjustment I'm going to have to make really is just get more active. Like I think I said a couple episodes back, I was probably going to have to do cardio to get things moving. I was able to hold off on that because I saw some progress with the lower calories. So the next step, I think I'm going to have to, increase overall activity. So I'll probably just, throw in, anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes on the recumbent bike first thing in the morning, and just, knock that out. And I'll probably roll with that, on the low calorie days, Monday through Friday. So a little bit, go on the attack on those days. And then the weekends, just have off. So rest day and refeed to rejuvenate myself, and just rinse and repeat that. So that's what we're looking at probably in the beginning of January, once we get through the holidays. I want to be able to enjoy the holidays just a little bit. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Any questions, of course, throw those down in the comment section. But yeah, I hope you guys have a terrific week. As always, treat everybody well, and we'll talk more next week.